Those of you who actually had intercourse with a friend's mom or dad, how did it go down? Story 1. It was New Year's Eve, and I, as a 23-year-old, had been invited to a gathering with a group of friends. And 44-year-old her. Her son and I were in college together, and I had always thought she was really attractive. She was petite and had a cute face, having originally come from the Dominican Republic. Little did I know she had been flirting with me all this time. By the end of the night, we had all gone back to her house. Her son and his girlfriend retired to bed, and then she asked me to stay with her by the fireplace. She leaned her head on my shoulder and looked up at me with a question in her eyes. I didn't need to hear the words to know what she was asking. I said yes, and we dated for 2.5 years. It was an amazing experience. Not only did I get to know her better, but I also learned some Spanish from her as well. Story 2. When I was 20, my friend's mom had a connection that allowed us to get into a bar owned by one of her friends. Every week, she would buy drinks for the four of us, keeping a watchful eye on our activities. One night, after her son had gone home early, I decided to go along with the others, and we returned to her house. I was attracted to her and was hoping for something more exciting than the dead fish experience I encountered in bed. The next morning, she made me breakfast, gave me a quick kiss goodbye, and drove me home before her son woke up. To this day, I'm sure my friend knows what happened, but we never speak of it. Story 3. I was on a trip to Mexico with my girlfriend's family, and after a night of drinking, we were all saying our goodbyes before we all went to our own rooms. Out of the blue, my girlfriend's stepmother came in for a hug, but instead of just giving me a hug, she moved in to kiss me on the cheek, something she'd never done before. Drunk and a bit confused, I moved my head away, causing her to plant a kiss right on my mouth. We all laughed at the awkward situation, and her response was, "You're not supposed to move your head." Story 4. I ran into my ex-girlfriend's mom at the grocery store a couple of weeks after our breakup. She told me she missed me, and we engaged in a bit of small talk about her recently finalized divorce and her sister moving in. When it was time to leave, she hugged me and asked me to come by and check out her new painting sometime. I took her up on her offer a week later, and she served me some wine. What happened next was a surprise. She seduced me and introduced me to the world of roleplay. We engaged in the naughty game of mommy-son incest roleplay, and the experience was electrifying. We kept seeing each other for over a year until she moved away. And while I miss her sometimes, I will never forget our naughty and steamy encounters. Story 5. A friend of mine slept with my sister and kept making a big deal about it. I honestly could have cared less. And her mom was always making offhand sexual comments when I was around her. So I decided to go for it. She had him when she was 16. We were around 18 or 19, so she wasn't old and still looked pretty good. I came through one day knowing he wasn't there after flirting with her pretty hard for weeks, and she almost immediately jumped my bones. We slept together for a while after, and neither of us ever said a word about it. It was fun while it lasted, and I didn't stay friends with the guy for other reasons. But anytime he mentioned that he slept with my sister, I had the satisfaction of knowing his mom was extremely into ATM and effed like a champion. Story 6. At 18, my girlfriend and I went to the zoo with her mother. Unfortunately, my girlfriend threw a tantrum, making the car ride home rather uncomfortable. She then asked me if I wanted to break up. Before I could answer, her mother offered to drop her off and drive me the rest of the way home. I took advantage of the opportunity and decided to make a move. I had noticed that her mother always wore tight shirts and hip-hugging jeans when I was around. I joked about her looking fitter each time I came over, and she blushed. When we got to my house, I noticed that my parents were gone and jokingly asked if she wanted to take the day off and use my pool. I was shocked when she said yes. So there I was, swimming in my pool with my now ex-girlfriend's mother in her underwear, and we ended up making out. The relationship continued for a few more weeks until my ex-girlfriend started to suspect something. Then we decided to break it off. Story 7. I visited my buddy's house expecting to find him ready to go play baseball, but instead, he'd already left. His mom kindly invited me in anyway, which I happily accepted. Unexpectedly, things took a turn when a woman I worked with asked me to join her for drinks one night. Deciding to go for it, I used my fake ID and ended up back at her place. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of breakfast cooking and went into the kitchen to find her and her 2 children sitting at the table. I was shocked to recognize them both, as I had previously dated her freshman year daughter and had played football with her son. I had no clue how old she was or that she even had kids when I accepted her invitation for drinks. Story 8. At the age of 19, I made a suicide attempt that resulted in a stint in a mental hospital. During one of the group therapy sessions, I discovered that one of the ladies in the group was the mother of someone I had gone to high school with. We quickly became close, and after I was discharged, we would often meet up to go to the movies or just talk. On one fateful day, I unintentionally seduced her and we began a romantic relationship. She made the decision to leave her husband, come out to her family as a lesbian, and embrace her newfound identity as an LGBT individual. This was taking place in the early 90s in the Bible Belt, and she was a 48-year-old woman who was just beginning this journey. She started dating different women, and the last time I saw her, she seemed incredibly content. I don't think her son ever found out that it was me who caused such a dramatic shift in the family. Story 9. I was 21 when my mother's friend, Miss Jackie, who was 55, caught my eye. I was on the way to meet a friend for a party, but decided to stop by her house to deliver something my mother had asked of me. It was only a 5-minute walk from my house, so I thought I'd take the opportunity. When I arrived, Miss Jackie opened the door wearing black teddy bear underwear that I was certain she had had on for my benefit. We shared an old-fashioned, and I couldn't help but feel my heart racing at the thought of what could be. We watched a porno together, and, without thinking, I texted my friend to let him know I wouldn't be joining him. Instead, I spent the night with Miss Jackie, and she taught me how to pleasure a woman, leaving me with toes that still curl when I think of her. Unfortunately, our affair came to an end when she married someone for money, and I was left with a broken heart. Story 10. My mom's friend had always been a bit of a wild card, known to be more flirtatious and outspoken after a few drinks. On this particular night, she and my mom came home from a night out, both rather inebriated. While my mom was out of the room, the woman began asking me suggestive questions about my sexual history and if I enjoyed sex, which aroused me. I grabbed her hand and put it on my D, and she smiled. I knew she wouldn't act on it with my mother in the house, so I bided my time until we'd all gone to bed. I then snuck into the living room where she was sleeping, and we enjoyed a passionate encounter. Story 11. After graduating from school, I had a short-lived relationship with a certain girl. A couple of years later, we began to communicate again, with me hoping to be more than friends. One day, she unexpectedly disappeared on me when we were supposed to meet up. When I showed up at her place later, she was in distress, revealing that she had been with her best friend's father, and her friend had discovered it, accusing her of being a slut and ending their friendship. This made me angry and frustrated, not only due to the betrayal, but also because some old guy had succeeded in sleeping with someone who I had been trying to get with. Therefore, I let our friendship fizzle out. It has been over 2 decades since then, and I have never looked back. Story 12. I had a female friend in school who was 14, and she was dating a 17-year-old college boy. The boy used to babysit for the mom of the 14-year-old, and the mom seemed to be happy for their relationship, until it came out that the boy had been effing the girl's mom secretly. The girl and boy broke up for a year, during which the boy kept on sleeping with the girl's mom. When that got rocky, the girl and boy started going out again. And this happened in a civilized town in England, to civilized people. Mom and daughter don't get along now, as far as I'm aware. But the girl and boy are still dating. And this was nearly 8 years ago. I don't know what the F they were thinking to get back together again. Not just that, the whole town effing knew about it.